Welcome to my world. It's your world too, and I'm hoping that as my world and your world meet, you are informed and inspired. Inspired to be the best that you can be, because all of my daily videos, that's really what they're about. It's about the awakening in this ninth wave, when people realize, finally, who we are, that we are eternal, infinite beings, made in the image of our Creator, or whatever you want to call God. And we are here to have the most fulfilled human experiences we are capable of having. And we're moving into areas of greater potential because we are waking up. Anyway, I said all that as a prelude to today's talk, which did not become clear to me until I came in from the meditation room and turned on the computer and read the message from Mike Dooley, which is Tut's messages. I've spoken about those before. And he wrote in today's message, "There comes a time, Ron, in every life when the valiant choice is made to take a courageous stand for oneself, in spite of consequences, against those who have behaved irresponsibly. And this is good. Sometime afterwards, it ultimately dawns on all, however, that what they might be most concerned with are their own responsibilities. And this is trebly good. Roll over, Beethoven, hit me, Amadeus, let's waltz Matilda, the universe." And then a P.S. "Hallelujah, Ron, the winds are blowing." And Spirit had me add a line that he didn't have. "If you don't stand up for the truth, you'll end up laying down before the lies." So today's title is Valiant Choice, Courageous Stand. Last night, as I sat in the circle with my friends from my pod family, the New Way family, we went around the circle and many of us spoke individually to some of the other people that were there. And a couple of people actually did that to everyone in the room. And the first lady who did it, my friend Margie, who's having her workshop this coming weekend, identified me as a man of great commitment. And she has known me since 1994 in January. And she's never seen my commitment waver to the community, to the truth. It was really encouraging to hear her say those words. And then my friend Becky, who was also on the board with me at the New Way, shared that I was a man of great courage. Sometimes some of the things, some of my positions, she'd like to kill me, she said. Doesn't sound very loving, does it? But it was loving, because sometimes I have said and done things that people don't get yet. Sometimes I've had to walk a little bit ahead of the curve in what I see, but people are waking up. And it's interesting that the word commitment and the word courage came out, and then I get that courage word again here in Tut's message, which is how I knew what I was supposed to talk about today. For those of you that have been listening for some time now, especially recently, you know I'm engaged in the fight of my life. As I stand up against corrupt courts, a totally fraudulent banking system, law enforcement agencies that have been misguided at the very least, but are also waking up. And I take a stand in all of this mess with the help of many of you who have taken time to go onto my Facebook note or onto my web page, the justice page on my website, and actually contact public officials here in Florida on my behalf. And I do want to encourage you as well, especially to send some information to the Brevard County Sheriff. That information is provided at the bottom of the page, the Justice page on my website. So please go there and especially send things to the sheriff, because whatever the courts do, it will be the sheriff that is given the responsibility to act on those orders or not. If the sheriff chooses to keep his oath of office and support the people, then I'm in good hands. And there are wonderful sheriffs across the United States that are actually doing that. They're telling the courts, we're not going to enforce your foreclosure orders. Or in my case, they're not even going through the foreclosure process. They skipped the foreclosure process altogether. I mean, everything they've done is unlawful and illegal. But they've done it anyway. But there are sheriffs, as I was saying, that have said to the courts, we're not going to do what you want us to do. We're going to stand with the people. That's our first responsibility. And if you're listening and you know a law enforcement officer, especially a sheriff, let them know that their first responsibility is not to the government that has been co-opted by criminals, but to the people that they are there to serve. And law enforcement at this point in our human history and our human conscious development is a necessary thing, but it is also greatly abused because of the corruption in the governments. Again, I've said this before. The United States government, and I'm sure other governments as well, use this idea of national security as an excuse to keep the truth from people and to do things that are against the people's best wishes. And what they mean by national security is protection of the lies and the fraud that, if known, would put us in a very bad position. So they have developed here in the United States what they call continuity of government, so that if bad things begin to happen, government will be maintained. In other words, the controllers will somehow be able to maintain their control. I don't see it quite that way. I see these underground cities that they've built to hide, these places where they've prepared to take refuge to when the people begin to wake up even more en masse than is already happening. They're going to become tombs, not places of refuge, but literal tombs. I've seen that happening with a lot of these people that absolutely refuse to come into the truth and just simply tell it like it is, in which case they could be forgiven. But unless people are willing to come to the truth, they can't be forgiven, because they're still standing in a lie. They're still living in an unsustainable manner of separation. And that separation consciousness is falling day by day by day around the world. Yesterday, a vision came to me, actually as I was working. I don't know how these things happen, but all of a sudden I had the picture of my home and property being surrounded by angels. And I ask you to share that vision and to envision that, and whatever happens, that this sanctuary in which that I have been provided with by my wonderful mother, Dr. Mary, in her kind graces, because she and I shared a common vision to help awaken the world, that I will not lose what she has given me, that I will maintain it and stand strong in my home, in this sanctuary, from which I deliver these messages to you every day, from which each week I invite people in to share with them truths and methods of spiritual development and spiritual growth. And I've been doing that for a long time, as long as I've lived here, and many years, over a decade prior to that. This is my life. This is why I'm here. And those of you that have chosen to stand with me and join your voice with mine, I want to say a sincere thank you for taking the 10 or 15 minutes of time to send out those letters to the public officials, to respond to the Brevard County Sheriff as I'm asking you to do today. And again, that address and information is at the bottom on my webpage. I don't believe it's included on the Facebook petition, or on the petition page itself. And in regard to the petition, someone suggested that in order for a petition to be lawful, it has to have actual signatures of people that are especially registered to vote in the district or the jurisdiction where the action is being addressed. That's not my purpose in the petition. My purpose in the petition and in the letters is to make the officials, the court, the people aware that the world is watching. I'd really like you to take time to do that yourself and to encourage as many of your friends as are willing to do it as well. If we can get thousands of people responding, that would be a wonderful thing. Right now, I'd say maybe we have 10 to 20 people that have taken the time to respond that I'm aware of. I'm sure there are people that have responded that I'm not aware of, that did not send an email back to me and saying, Ron, I took action. But I'm asking you, please, if I've touched your heart in any way, please help me by taking this stand. I'm taking the stand. I'm preparing paperwork to go and present again to the court. I will be taking some other steps. I'd like to get this in the local newspaper. If you know a way, and if you have a contact with somebody in Brevard County, Florida, in the Florida Today newspaper that might be willing to tell my story in the local newspaper, I'd appreciate that. If you have a television contact in the Central Florida area that might be willing to actually put this on the television set for the people that do not get their news from the internet, as probably most of us do, I'd like to be able to spread this message to a wider audience, because it's happening all over this country and around the world, where the banks and the courts are colluding to take people out of their homes. And it is illegal and it is unlawful. I'm telling you, as I've told you many times, the banks have a very unlawful foundation for what they're doing, because they have committed systemic fraud across the board and around the world for a long time. And they've gotten away with it because of the corruption within the courts and the governments. And even when the governments know about it, and as I said, these things, this thing about the foreclosure crisis in America has been spoken about on the floors of Congress, in the halls of the Congress in Washington, D.C., as one Ohio congresswoman stood up and told people, if the courts move against you with foreclosure notices, stay in your home. Do not leave your home. Possession is 9/10 of the law. The Congress people know about it, but bear in mind, they have been put in office for the most part, the vast majority of them, by people who have paid them to do a certain thing. That they've been funded by the very people that they're supposed to be protecting us against, namely the bankers. And I'm telling you folks, and I'll say this again and again and again, the world's monetary system is at the root of all the injustice, of all the environmental damage, of all the wars, of all the corrupt politics, of all the poor corporate decisions that are made day by day, every day, that affect people's lives and affect the life of other beings on our planet. It's happening all the time. We must address the fraudulent monetary system in the world. It's the most important thing that we're here to do, because when that changes, everything will change. We'll finally get justice and peace and the things that our hearts long for. So these are the things that I've chosen to share with you today as I speak to you from my heart. Again, help me if you're willing, and I hope many of you are. Namaste, and God bless you. Thank you.